She got to sit by me. She got to sit by me. You want me in the middle? Okay. All right, do y'all care? This is Odyssey still. Whatever makes Odyssey happy. Is that all right?
That's fine.
All right.
All right, first we get going, I'll make a few announcements. Please turn off or silence your cell phones. Flash photography is not permitted during this event. Baylor's locker room is open now to the media for the next 30 minutes, and the first 15 minutes of Baylor's practice is also open to the media, which begins at 2:45. Before asking a question, please raise your hand, state your name and affiliation, and then we'll get you a microphone to you. Baylor Sports Information contact is Julie Bennett. On the dais with me are head coach Kim Mulkey and student athletes Mackenzie Robertson and Odyssey Sims. We'll begin with questions for the student athletes.
Stephen Hawkins with the AP. Odyssey and Mackenzie, just talk about what it's going to be like without Coach on the sideline. And as seniors, I know that Bill's going to be taking charge, but as seniors, do you guys have any extra responsibilities to kind of keep things going, knowing what's expected by Coach?
I think Saturday will be different, just not having her on the sideline. But I think she's prepared us all week. She's done a good job of helping us out as much as she can. I think we'll need to step up a lot more than we've ever done before, just because it's something new to us. Never had happened to us before. But I think we'll handle it just fine.
I mean, Odyssey's said it great. It's going to be obvious that we're missing her. She's kind of dominating over there. Not easy to miss, but we were ready, and she's prepared us, and we have great staff and assistant coaches that we trust the same. We trust her, and we're just going to have to go out there and kind of take on a stronger leadership role.
Nick Canizales, KCN Sports. Girls, what have you seen on film about Western Kentucky that could present some challenges tomorrow night?
I just think they switch up their defenses. They press throughout the whole game. You never really know what defense they're in. Try to make you play a little faster than what we're kind of used to, rush shots, turn the ball over, just create havoc. We've been working on it all week. I think we just can't let their defense dictate how we play on offense. But I think we'll be fine once we get used to it.
Once again, she said it best, I guess. They also have some posts that can do it all. They shoot threes, they'll take charges, run the floor, and we're just going to have to play as a team.
Sean Giggy, 254 Sports, for both players. We talked about what it's going to be like not having Kim on the bench there, but what's it going to be like having Bill? Is he, or Coach Brock, is he going to bring a little bit of a fiery attitude the same, or is he a lot more subdued?
Yep.
You can go.
Well, I mean, like I said before, all of the assistants, I think, have been a head coach at one point pretty much, and so they are used to stepping into that role, and they'll take it with strides. Coach Brock is probably not quite as crazy as my mom, but he has the intensity and competitiveness, and he knows how to reach out to us as players.
I think Coach Brock, he's just fired up. Not only just to coach on Saturday, but I think he's ready for the game. Coaching staff, like I said, we got a good coaching staff. We've been taking care of business, and they've also been doing the same. He's a great coach, and I think he'll be pretty fired up just to play on Saturday. We haven't played in 2 weeks, so we're ready to get back on the court, and I know they're ready to coach us.
Odyssey, we've talked so much this year about how different your role is with this team and how you had to do different things. Now that we get to this point in the season, is there anything more you have to do, or is it still kind of the same thing you've been doing this whole season during this regular season?
I think it's pretty much the same what I've been doing all season. I think the seniors, we're still going to lead this team. We're still very young, but I don't think my role has changed any. Lead a little more just because we are very young. I have a group that really hasn't had opportunity to play in the NCAA tournament. So that'll be a little different, but my role will still be the same. I'll still lead them and just try to help them so we can get a victory.
Jason North, Waco Tribune Herald. Mackenzie, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but just that 2-week layoff that you guys have had, how different has that been? And I guess, are you worried about a little rust setting in for tomorrow's game?
I don't think I'm worried about rust. I mean, we're all antsy and ready to get out there and play. The best thing that probably could happen was the 2 weeks, because it gave everyone a chance to kind of rest up and recover with our bodies. And so it gave us enough time, but now that it's kind of dragging on and we're right here, I think everyone's just ready to play.
Any more questions for student athletes? Okay. All right. Thank you, ladies.
I'll go ahead and get this question out of the way. I know tomorrow, of course, I guess missing this game, it'll be better to be at your own home than in a hospital bed like the last one you missed. But how is it going to be for you? And how do you kind of control your emotions? And how different is it for you to watch your team play on TV?
Well, the first time I missed, we were in Lubbock and I was sick, so I was pretty medicated. I wasn't a big deal. Let me answer that, if I may, and be long-winded here. Quit writing about me being suspended, because really the game is not about me and the focus doesn't need to be about me. I'm suspended. I don't regret being suspended. I'm going to fight for my team, and that's why I'm suspended. But it's about those players. And I don't care what happens tomorrow, win or lose, it won't be because I am or am not on the sideline. Okay? And I say that in all honesty because those guys that will be leading the charge tomorrow, they're my right hand, my left hand, my right hand, my left hand. They do everything for me. They do the scouting reports, who we need to guard. I just every now and then call a timeout. So let the focus be about the team. And see, that's why really suspending me, that wasn't the answer, because it takes the focus away from the team, and this is about the student athletes. How is it going to be? I don't know. I'm going to sit down there. I'm going to have a big plate of food. I'm not going to come up here and watch the other game. I'm going to watch it on TV as well. And if I don't like the way it's going or if I'm not enjoying it, I'll go out in the yard and pick weeds. And every now and then walk in the back door and check the score. I'm not nervous about it. I'm not uptight about it. I'm very confident in everybody that'll be in that locker room and everybody on that floor.
Kim, obviously, Mackenzie mentioned it. Chastity Gooch is their best player, a post player, pretty versatile. But, what other players do they have that kind of present problems?
Well, they've got the freshman of the year in Noble. I mean, that's a pretty good athletic league. And to have the defensive player of the year, the freshman of the year, the coach of the year, that speaks volumes. And, I go back many, many years to the Paul Sanderford days at Western Kentucky when I was an assistant at Louisiana Tech. We had many battles. And that program, if you haven't followed women's basketball for a long time, that program has a storied history. They've been to Final Fours. They played for a national championship. I used to recruit some of the players that he had in that program. And to see it come back, it tells you about their coach who played there. There's a lot of pride there. And she is to be complimented on what she has done there in a short period of time. She has really a vested interest in that program, and she's just had a phenomenal 2 years.
Coach, Zach Greenwell from the Bowling Green Daily News. You mentioned Coach Sanderford and Jeff Walls, their connections there. Obviously, Michelle Clark-Hurd is a protege of both of them. So I guess when you look at what she does, what similarities do you see to those two coaches?
I don't. Maybe some of the zone stuff, but she's pressing, three-quarters press, and I don't recall Jeff's teams at Louisville doing much of that. He kind of junk defenses us when we play him and mixes up his half-court defenses. But and I'm sure that, she has to do what is best for her personnel, but she presses a lot. And I can't remember if Paul did a lot of that. I remember back in the day he would triangle into us at Louisiana Tech when we had two of the great shooters. And so she's probably learned lots of different kinds of junk defenses, but she seems to be committed to her zones and to her presses. And it's been very successful for her.
Coach, your teams have been in the postseason every year that you've been here. Is there still any sense of, getting nervous or any type of, just antsy every year that this time of year comes around?
I don't think nerves or antsy would be how I would describe it. I think you are excited. I think it's like when you tip off a basketball game as a player, you have those butterflies, and then they go away immediately. It's this is it. It's do or die, and you get excited for your team, and you get excited. You don't take it for granted, and you always remember, no matter what happens, there are a lot of people that would love to trade places with you. And we've had some of the most exciting times in Baylor women's basketball, and we've had some of the most disappointing times. It's all part of it, and the longer you're in the business, you got to learn how to deal with all of it. And you're excited when it starts, and you realize at the end there's really only going to be one happy team. Everybody at some point is going to be disappointed. 63 are going to be disappointed. But at the beginning, before you ever tip it off, everybody's happy, everybody's excited, and it feels good.
Tim O'Donnell, News Channel 25 Sports. Coach, for Nina and these other freshmen, this is their first NCAA tournament. What do you expect from the younger players coming into this?
Well, I think they'll be, I don't want to use the word nervous, but I think, as I just said about the butterflies, I think once they tip it off and once they score a basket or do something good, they'll relax, and I anticipate that they will perform the way they have all year. The 2-week layoff is a concern because I really don't know how it will affect us. You think that it gave, and it did give us time to heal some bodies, but you'll be a little rusty. And so after we play, I will know more if I like the 2-week layoff or if I don't like it. So we'll see.
Kind of following up when I asked Odyssey about if she'd have to take a different role and how she's done, but as you hear her talk, I mean, obviously she knows her role in this team. She's known it all year, but going into this tournament, how much more important is it because of all the experience she does have in an NCAA tournament, especially when you compare it to how little experience there is outside of that? Even Mackenzie's only played in a few games.
You know, I don't know that you can say we're inexperienced now. I tend to think the Big 12 prepares you for the postseason. I think that, if we were in a weak conference, you may be a little bit hesitant to wonder how they're going to perform, but our league prepares you for it. In fact, I think a lot of good conferences, I think a lot of the coaches in those conferences would tell you it's a relief to get to the NCAA tournament because you don't have to see each other. And so that's the approach I'm anticipating will take place, is that Western Kentucky won't know as much about us as a league foe would, and we probably don't know as much about Western Kentucky as one of their league foe, one of their people in their league would. So I don't worry about that.
Coach, on Monday with the selection show, all the talk was Notre Dame and South Bend. How do you keep your team focused for this weekend in Cal, the Final Four team last year? How do you keep them focused so that they can get to South Bend?
Well, I take it one step at a time. When you look at who we play tomorrow, Western Kentucky won that tournament. Western Kentucky is good. And then the next step, if Cal and Fordham play, we know that Cal was a Final Four team. They were second in the Pac-12, and they got a seed like they did. So we know who's here. We know the teams that are here in Waco, Texas, and they're very good teams. And after that, we'll have to worry about the next 2 games. All I can focus on is preparing our team for tomorrow, and then after that, preparing them for the next game. It does no good to think about Notre Dame. It does no good to think about being in that region. I'm not playing in a game, so don't ask me anymore. I'm not supposed to talk, all right? I'm not coaching in a game, I should say.
Coach, the girls have done an outstanding job all season long protecting home court, and with the tournament as well being here, this tournament's no different, as far as protecting home court.
Well, what's good about our being able to host the first and second round, if you look, we put people in the stands, and that, quite honestly, has been a problem with women's basketball. We are separate from the men, and we don't need to pretend to compete with what the men do and how the men do it. It is always disappointing when you watch a women's NCAA playoff game on TV and there's nobody in the stands. When you put a first and second round game at Baylor, whether we're in it or not, We love our women's basketball here. And I think that's the dilemma we are in as a women's basketball group, is that what do we do? What do we do? An example would be my son plays baseball at LSU, and he's got the men's bracket and he's got the women's bracket. And he goes, Mom, when you look at the men's bracket, it says West, South, regionals. He said, you look at the women's bracket, you're basically an advertisement for those schools. You have Notre Dame, you have Nebraska, you know. And I said, in your point. And he goes, why don't we have, you know, the directional things there? So I never thought of it like that, but he's right. You know, I don't know. But we certainly try every year to do things to promote the women's game. I just know that 20 years from now, when I'm retired, I hope that Baylor's able to host first and second round games because we appreciate women's basketball.
Any more questions? Okay. Thank you, Coach.
Uh-huh.